good to have you back here at Law and Crime. I'm Michael Bryant, and look who I have here with me. I mean this. Gigi, our Law and Crime correspondent, is up in Ada County in Boise, Idaho, to bring us up to speed on the Doomsday Mom murder trial. Gigi, today's Cinco de Mayo, so I've been ready to just chomp on my taco I got here. I saw yours that you were eating yesterday, but you kind of put me off the tacos with the story you told us yesterday. So before I want to get into the fresh stuff from today, but just for our audience who may have missed that, give us just the brief taco story if you could.
Oh, it's a story, Michael. So apparently in the days before Alex Cox died, he was not feeling well. He was having some shortness of breath and some heart palpitations. And there was a group call that Ian Pawlowski testified to yesterday that was between Lori, Chad, Melanie Pawlowski, and Alex. And Lori said she cast Satan out of Alex's body. And get this, what did she do? Wrap Satan up like a taco and shipped him to Antarctica. So there you go. That's how you get rid of Satan, apparently.
Boy, yeah, again, it's put me off tacos, and I love tacos. It's such a great holiday. Okay, let's get back to where we are today. We had kind of a short day, I guess. So why don't you give me the update on who we've seen today and what's been the core testimony?
We have an FBI agent on the stand. This was the result of yesterday. We had a hearing after testimony trying to figure out what in this gentleman's PowerPoint could come in. So it was heavily redacted down. And so what we've been looking at are mainly text messages between Lori and Chad, Lori and Alex, Lori and Melanie Pawlowski that show in just a lot of different things. They're showing in the days leading up to Charles Vallow's murder, the communications between Lori and Alex, where she's telling him to stay close. It's all going to come to a head. She's going to be like Nephi, who is somebody that was told to slaughter Laban in the Book of Mormon to get the plates or something that somebody wanted. Then we move on. The jury actually got to see these text messages that Lori sent Charles's grown sons after he was murdered. Very callous and cold. Hey, boys, bad news. Your dad died. And I'm going to tell you, that hit the jury like a ton of bricks. Then we move on to 3 days after Charles has been murdered. One of the sons reaches back out and says, hey, 3 days, it's been nothing. You can't just text us and tell us our dad died and then disappear. That hit the jury very hard. Just saw some looks go Lori's way. So it's been a lot of text messages kind of just showing the conspiracy, I guess, about Charles Vallow's death, and also how quickly the illicit affair began between Lori and Chad.
Some of the info that's come out is the interaction between Lori and Chad in their weird relationship. And they had, I don't want to call them nicknames, were they code names for one another? What was that all about?
Well, it was names that were attributed to them in their past lives together. James and Elena was the subject of this, I call it an erotic epic fail story that Chad wrote Lori. That came in today. Everybody was cringing a bit. It kind of horrified a few of the jurors, actually. And then you see some of these racy texts from Chad to Lori where she's portaled over to his house and things like that. So it's been an interesting morning. I think very damaging for Lori with those text messages to Charles's sons. I don't think I've seen that much horror on the jury's faces since we saw very graphic photos of these kids. It just shows the callousness that she had.
How did Lori look today? How did she react to that kind of testimony?
She's just normal Lori today, kind of head down in her book, looking at the screen sometimes, but no major reaction. I didn't have a great view of her, but when I did get to glance at her, she just has this demeanor that seems to be consistent in that courtroom, which is either she's laughing with her attorneys or she's writing in her notebook.
It's just so odd, but then the whole thing is, it's, at the end of days, maybe, in her mind, in Chad's mind, and others that are following this, her followers, they have no control over what's going to happen. The end of days is coming, and so everything, it kind of eases any burden you might have in the real world, I suppose.
Right. And the other thing, some of the other contents of these text messages are with Chad trying to figure out when he can see Lori to continue this affair. And several times it was said in there, if she's still here, meaning his wife, Tammy, who was very much alive and well at that time. So they were seeing kind of this, fast and furious affair and just the framework for what we see as motive. There were a lot of things discussed about financials in these texts. We haven't got to that yet, but it has been laid out for us what's to come. He'll be back on the stand Monday. We're finished for the day, not really sure why, but I anticipate there's going to be some pretty incriminating texts on Monday, because what we're really waiting on, Michael, is that connection directly between Lori and the conspiracy in Tammy Daybell's murder. We really haven't seen that yet. So I'm hoping that that comes in with these text messages, but this is a very strong witness, and I think the state's definitely at the end of their case, and these text messages do not look good for Lori Vallow.
Yeah, so ending strong, and hopefully we'll tie up some of the loose ends on those charges that you mentioned. Great. So take the rest of the weekend off, would you? As go enjoy the holiday there, and we always appreciate what you've got to say. You are us in that courtroom, so thank you so much for what you do, Gigi. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Michael.
You bet. Okay, so we're going to take a break here. We are smack in the middle of the Letitia Stout closing arguments. Jury to have the case very soon. We'll take a break, come back to that right after this.